What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos, hit that like button as y'all come in. Hit the share, the subscribe, hit the Cash App as y'all come in. Also, as well, $ BJ Matthews, $BJ Matthews for this great content. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe all the content that we bring to y'all, man. And make sure that you guys, before y'all get out of here, make sure y'all get y'all membership badges that are available. You have three options. You got the Pull Up badge, you got the LA Clipper badge, and you guys have the interview badge. If you guys want to have perks and benefits for the Pull Up Basketball Podcast for the rest of your life, please check out those membership badges by checking in on our YouTube homepage. Let's get it popping. All right, man. So we back with another great video, man. Listen, we had a little short live last night after the game between the Clippers and OKC, man. I know it's like about an hour and 30, so I want to, bring this video to y'all this morning, man. I'm gonna release in a couple hours. But I want to talk to y'all a little bit about a subject to me that's, continuously been popped up, and I think that, it's time for us to have this discussion. Since we did play the team last night, I want to talk about SGA, Shai Gilgeous Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder. All right, I want to talk to y'all about him. Okay. Uh, Last night, SGA and the Thunder beat the Clippers. I believe it was I think about 19 points last night. I think they beat us by 19 points, and it snapped our 9-game losing winning streak. And of course, like I said before in the video, like we're gonna, eventually the streak's gonna end, and it did end last night. So at the hands of the OKC Thunder, so very very good, very very good streak that we had. I think the longest streak of anybody in the NBA this season. Winning 9 games in this league is very very tough. Hell, winning 6 7 games is tough in a row. Especially if you're playing good teams and you're not playing, bums. Like, we played the Kings, we played the Nuggets, we played the Pacers, we played who else? We played the Warriors twice, we played the Mavericks. All these teams we beat pretty much were all playoff teams, playoff caliber teams. That's number one. Number two, the team that we lost to last night, as y'all know, we were on a 3-game road stretch. You know what I'm saying? 3 games in 4 nights. Like I told y'all last night, a few of the players were sick. Norman Powell, he's dealing with illness. Paul George is dealing with illness as well. He was actually playing sick last night. He was actually been dealing with illness since the Indiana game. That's why they chose to let him sit out. Last night. The plan wasn't for Kawhi to get injured like that. In Dallas, it was the plan was to let PG rest. You still got Norm there, and then go through that, and then play both Kawhi and PG and OKC, but obviously that wasn't the case because we lost, Kawhi and Dallas. But nonetheless, OKC was able to, what I'm saying, get their win at home. And I want to talk to you about this subject. Um, SGA is one of the most hottest players in the NBA. It's kind of been like that since last year. As y'all come in here, smash this like button. Y'all do know SGA used to play for our team, the Clippers. He used to be, our point guard when, they had Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell. He came in 2018, 2019. This is SGA's 6th season in the NBA. And they got the Thunder, at the 2nd seed in the Western Conference right now. And they beat some very, very good teams. They beat Denver. I want to say they beat the Kings. They beat Phoenix. They beat some good teams this year, and it's basically them catapulting off of last season. SGA, is the leader of the OKC Thunder. You got guys like Isaiah Joe, you got Jalen Williams, you got Chet Holmgren, you got Josh Giddey. What I'm saying? They have a very, 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 very talented young team. Okay, because Vladimir, I think that most of them dudes are like under 21, 22, around 21, 20, 22, 23. Lou Dort. You know what I'm saying? They have good pieces, and they're kind of ran like a college team. If you watch how they play, a lot of zone defense, but the zone is like a very, very active zone. They got long arms. They got, what I'm saying, players that can, get after it on the defensive end. And it kind of throws you off a little bit when you're playing and you have to deal with that, situation. It kind of throws you off quite a bit. Um, but I like how the OKC Thunder is doing things. I like how they're choosing to build the team from ground up and not from what I'm saying, just not developing their talent. You could tell that they're developing their team. But I want to talk to y'all about, like I said, SGA. There's a conversation that's been ongoing for the last couple of years. Did the Clippers make a mistake trading away SGA and trading away our draft picks, and also trading Paul George away, or trading for Paul George? That's been a discussion, for the last couple of years. Actually, shit, like, yeah, about the last 2 years, 2 seasons. Whether that been for Clipper fans or from other fans, I don't know where it really started at, but that's been kind of like the talk of the town. So I think it's time for us to talk about it and get into detail, because I think it's a perfect time to do it. Um, Back in 2019, the Clippers made a decision to go for a Hail Mary and go and get two star players, superstar caliber players, one superstar, one borderline close all star superstar, and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Um, it took the world by surprise. I remember this night like it was last night. It was, I think, a Friday night. It was in California, where I was, I think, driving on the road, if I'm not mistaken. I was in LA, and that was the time when they had the summer league in Vegas going on, and everybody was on their, their edge of their seats trying to figure out what Kawhi Leonard was going to do. Was he going to end up leaving Toronto? Was he going to go to the Lakers? Was he going to, go to the Clippers? Those are the three teams that were, constantly echoed about. You heard it through a lot of these ESPN mainstream medias, that it was going to be either Toronto or Lakers. They felt like the Clippers wasn't going to be an option. Kawhi Leonard was the hottest thing on the block at that time in 2019, the summer, because he just got the Raptors a championship, an organization who never won anything. They never went to a championship. The only time they went to the conference finals, they got swept by the LeBron James Cleveland Cavaliers just a few seasons prior. So he did something historic though in Toronto that has never been done. That's why you can go over there to Toronto, and the Canadian fans, the Raptor fans still love him to this. I think he has his own restaurant out there as well. Um, he did something that Vince Carter couldn't do. He did something that Tracy McGrady couldn't do. He did something DeMar DeRozan couldn't do. He did something that Chris Bosh couldn't do. He did something that no one else could do but him. I just want to put that in there. But he was the hottest thing out there, and it was taking the world by storm. They're on edge to see what this man was going to do. Well, after about, I don't know if it was like 3 weeks, on a Friday evening, I remember driving, and it was late. I think it was like around 10 or 11 o'clock, and it was like an earthquake out here or something. And you know, right around that time, there was an earthquake, and it was a big one. It was like breaking news. Kawhi Leonard is signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, of course, my phone, I stopped on the road. I'm like, nah, that can't be real. So I look on my phone, and it said it's, alert ESPN, Kawhi Leonard has been signed to the LA Clippers. And about a minute two later, report comes out saying Paul George has been signed by the LA Clippers. And I'm like, what? So that's what had to happen. But what happened in contrary of that, when they said Paul George has been traded, I'm like, okay, who did we trade? So they traded away SGA and I think Danilo Gallinari and a lot of picks. I think like 6, 7 picks or something like that. And to get that for Paul George. Right? Now as time went, it was reported that Kawhi Leonard only would come to the Clippers if they got another star to pair with him. Remember, the year before, he got the Raptors to a championship without another star. Don't tell me about no Kyle Lowry. Don't tell me about no Pascal Siakam. Don't tell me about Marcus Gasol. Don't tell me about no Serge Ibaka. All those dudes were role players that played and did what they're supposed to do at their roles. They were very important, very effective, but he didn't have no stars group in Toronto. He had a team who knew their roles. They were very defensively disciplined, and They were a team that basically, had the ability, to fit around Kawhi in the best way. Guys like Fred VanVleet, guys like Kyle Lowry, guys like Pascal Siakam, guys like OG Anunoby, who did not play in the finals, guys like um uh Marcus Saul, who's a great, defensive presence and passer. Serge Ibaka, who is a great, still a good defender, not like OKC, but they had a good team and they had a good coach, right? As y'all come in here, smash the like button, hit the like button, and hit the cash app. So the Clippers become now a team to be reckoned with in the Western Conference. They're being picked by a lot of different um, bookings and booking bets and things of that nature to win the 2020 championship. Now, of course, that doesn't happen. The Clippers end up losing in the bubble in dramatic fashion to the Denver Nuggets, giving up a 3-1 lead. It was very, very, a trying time for the Clippers because they had a lot of people, riding with them to win the championship, and they didn't get it done just because of just basically a flame out. They did not adjust to what the Denver Nuggets did, and as y'all know, in the series, you have to be able to make adjustments and making sure that you actually do what you're supposed to do on the court. So they did not do that. So after that bubble incident, a lot of people fell off the Clippers, and I think that's when the whole SGA talk started to begin. Now, SGA, if you look at SGA's numbers and we look at SGA's career, I want to pull something out for y'all so y'all can see what he's been doing. So SGA has been in the league. This is his sixth season. He's 25 years old. Um, as y'all can see right here, he's every single year about SGA, he's gotten better. He's gotten better and better every single year. Right. The first year, 82 games and 73 starts with the Clippers. That was him as a rookie. I believe he averaged 10 points per game. I'm gonna pull up the numbers in a minute, but I'm just pay attention to the games played and games started. The year after that, he's with OKC. They made it to the playoffs with Chris Paul. That was that year where the Thunder was, I think, the fifth seed, and they got beat by the Rockets in, I think, 7 games. I don't know if SGA played in that series or not, but that was his first taste in the playoffs with Chris Paul there. The season after that, SGA, I think, got hurt. His third season, he didn't play, and what I'm saying, that was a scratch. The fourth season, they were still one of the bottom teams in the league. What I'm saying, did not get to the playoffs, and then you had last year when they scratched the play in, and he played 68 games. They got beat by the Timberwolves in Minnesota. Um, and as y'all look at SGA's numbers, you guys can see. Let me move this out the way so y'all can see better. Move this out the way so y'all can see. I'm about to move this logo. All right, so the Clippers, the first year, he averaged 10.8. Um, then the second season, he jumps to 19 points per game. The third season, 23.7. The fourth season, 24.5. Last year, 31.4. Now 30.7. So what I'm seeing with SGA, just looking at his numbers, from scoring the ball aspect, is that he's getting better every year. You could tell he's in the gym. I remember talking about SGA a couple of years ago, and I have felt SGA, the Lakers need to make a deal for him. This is before SGA really jumped off and had that big season. This was in the 21-22 season. I was following SGA very, very closely, and I already knew him because he was on our team. I said the Lakers need to make a trade for Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis, as far as his defense, is definitely the anchor of the Lakers team. But LeBron, you guys can tell, is checked out on Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis, personally, he's on and he's too inconsistent. And when I mean inconsistent, I'm talking about how he's in and out the lineups. He looks great one night and he looks putrid the next night. And I said to a Laker fan, I said, you guys need to make a trade for SGA and AD. And they looked at me like that's crazy because Anthony Davis at the time was still looked at as a top 5, top 10 player, quote unquote. This is again before the SGA hype. I said, you guys gotta think about it. LeBron James is getting annoyed with Anthony Davis. He's getting annoyed with the injuries. He's getting annoyed with the knickknacks. He's getting annoyed with the inconsistent play. And LeBron does better with closers and offensive guys who actually can hide his deficiencies, which is at going at the free throw line and making last minute jump shots. He had Dwayne Wade in Miami. He had Kyrie Irving in Cleveland, right? The Lakers don't have a closer. They haven't had a closer really since LeBron's been there. They didn't really have a closer in 2019, 2020. They had a great defense. But the defense was shielded a lot because Anthony Davis was playing power forward. See, he can't do what he wants to do because he's having to play center. That's when they had JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. That's why it worked so well. But ever since then, the Lakers have been, dropping lower and lower. So if you're not going to bring a center to help AD, you're not going to get the best version of Anthony Davis. I said y'all need to make a trade for SGA and Anthony Davis when Anthony Davis still has value, because the price is going to go up if you guys wait another season. Because I already saw what SGA was about to become individually, and I think SGA could have been another Kyrie Irving for LeBron James. And if you do that, then you make LeBron James even greater, because what he's great at is he's great of controlling the game for the first 3 quarters. That's what he can do. But the fourth and the closing minutes, that's not him. He's gonna run from the free throw line. He's not gonna take a lot. He's not gonna hit key shots down the stretch. He's gonna continuously do that long step back three. He will go to the basket, but you can't do that all game. So back to the point though. If you look at his points per game and you look at his ability to play make, he's gotten better every year. He went from 3.3 assists per game. Now he's at 6.3. So even though his scoring took a little bit of a dip, not even that much, he's finding another way to be effective. He's effective on the boards. He's averaging 5.8 this season, and he's good on the defensive end. Like, he's averaging 2.8 steals per game. I mean, he's playing both ways of the basketball. Now, a lot of that's attested to the OKC's or their scheming as well. I'm not gonna say SGA is just this all world defender, because he's benefiting a lot of he gets a lot of his steals, a lot just basically um and help side defense and stuff like that. They have a scheme over there in OKC. Let's go back to the coaching, where they've allowed to unlock SGA's ability to play defense, because he's not very athletic. He's very crafty, so he has to find other ways to be effective, right? So as far as a player, SGA is I watch just how players play, whether they have a good game or not can tell what type of, mentality they have. SGA has a mentality of no one can guard me, no one can stop me. That's how SGA looks at, the game. How he plays, how he's under control, his pace. He has kind of a herky jerky type of um his playing style, meaning, like, his movements, it throws you off. Like I said, he's not very athletic. He's quick, but he's not like somebody he's an explosive athlete. He's not like a Ja Morant or De'Aaron Fox, or what I'm saying, like even a Russell Westbrook, even to this day. Like, I saw a play last night when Westbrook moved right past him. So I mean, he's even faster than SGA at age 34 or 35. So that's not who SGA is. But what he can do is he can do all the other stuff. He's skilled. He's crafty. He can shoot the midi. He got good arms, good length. He just has the full package. He's very, very, a polished player. So the question is, and I know I said a lot there, but the question is, did the Clippers make a mistake trading away SGA for Paul George and picks? Now, like I just mentioned earlier, I said Kawhi wasn't gonna come to the Clippers unless they got a star because he already put himself through that in Toronto. He made that very clear, and that was the mistake a lot of ESPN, a lot of analysts, a lot of basketball quote unquote experts, a la Stephen A. Smith, a la Chris Broussard, a la Skip Bet. All these guys had all this information, all this inside source. Shannon Sharp, who really were just Laker heads and pundits, hoping that Kawhi would go to the team they want him to go to. And as I keep telling people over and over, and I'm sure a lot of people who are now, with the Clipper organization, and people actually been watching Kawhi closely, he don't go off other people's time. And the Lakers, to me, really dropped the ball by with Magic Johnson, opening his mouth saying that we got Kawhi on our team, and LeBron James echoing that as well, being who he is. That to me kind of threw the whole plan away because when Kawhi heard that, he was like, I mean, I can't trust y'all. So the Lakers kind of shot themselves in the foot had they just kept it under wraps and been quiet. But then again, I don't think Kawhi really had intentions to really sign with LeBron because again, he wants to compete against. He doesn't want to play with him, and that is a fact. I think he likes LeBron, like he's cool with him, whatever here and there. But he understands LeBron and him on the same tier as far as players. I mean, I know legacy. I mean, you can't really compare because one guy has been in the league for 21 years, the other one this is his 13th season, so or 12th season, so you can't really compare them that way. But as far as them as players since 2017, they're on the same tier. They're two of the top small forwards in the NBA. What I'm saying, like, or LeBron was, but they're still two like the top five small forwards. They're on the same tier. But when people ask me this question, should we have traded away SGA? The answer is yes. Listen, I understand SGA is a good player, and I understand that SGA is like I said, he's a student of the game as well. I forgot to mention that he's a student of the game. You could tell he's a player who I would love to play with. Or if I had a son, I was telling him watch SGA play because you can tell he wants to learn. And he doesn't depend on his athleticism to get him by. You could tell he actually knows how to play basketball. So that's not the issue. The issue is when people put things in perspective into stuff like, well, we made a mistake. The only the if we did not trade SGA, we would have never gotten Kawhi Leonard on our team. And I don't think anybody is going to say SGA is better than a Kawhi Leonard. I don't think SGA was better than Paul George. And and I know that may go over people's heads, but like I said, SGA, he's 25 years old. He's not a rookie. He's not a second year player. He's been in the league for a few years now. They haven't been to the play. He hasn't been to the playoffs in the last 3 seasons. There's a reason why nobody said anything about SGA until last year. It was about Steph. It was Luca. It was Ja. It was De'Aaron Fox. It was Jamal Murray. It was these other players all in front of SGA because SGA wasn't making no noise in the playoffs, and that's where you have to actually make your name in the playoffs. Now, I think SGA's game style, he will be productive in the playoffs because it's just how his game is. Like I said, he has a mature game. But then again, you don't know until you reach that level. But we can't say that a guy who has never been on that stage yet. I don't know if so correct me if I'm wrong if he played in those playoffs in 2021 or 2020. I think he did, but it was Chris Paul who was leading the team. And that's the reason why that SGA the last 3 seasons haven't made it to the playoffs. Last year they lost to Minnesota, and it was a pretty convincing loss too. So you gotta understand, like it's levels to this. Paul George when people say we made a mistake trading for Paul George or PG, you guys remember PG was coming off a historic season himself. He's coming off a MVP year. The numbers that SGA was putting up were just similar as Paul George was putting up. The history of Paul George, what SGA was his sixth season, Paul George is already established as a player who was arguably right there with LeBron. He just coming next until he had that nasty knee injury. He already made it to two conference finals. He was already an Olympian, I think by his what was his fourth season? He was the most improved player, I think his third season. He was the most improved player in the NBA. And he already made his team he already led his team to two conference finals. Now, the only difference between Indiana PG and OKC Shea is that Indiana PG, he had more vets on that team. But we have to call a spade a spade, is that Paul George at that time was already looked at as he already faced a prime Miami Heat. LeBron James team took him to 7 games. He took him to 6 games the next season. That's what PG was doing. Then he goes to OKC, and actually he has a historic season. He was averaging 28 points per game, and he's averaging 2.8 steals, 8.2 rebounds, 4.1 assists. That's what we traded for when we got him. That's when PG was top 3 MVP. Like, so when we keep saying that we made a mistake, the only reason people say we made a mistake is because of injuries at the wrong time. It's the same reason why people say the Lakers already got a championship, even though they've been underperforming year after year in the playoffs or year in year in the season. But the fact that they won a championship is it's pretty much they won the trade by trading for Anthony Davis. That would have been the Clippers' fate had they not got injured in 2021. I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard. The second year, the second season, them being together, they could have had a championship had the man to the left never got injured, and then we wouldn't be talking about if they made a mistake. But I'm asking people, don't be so quick to say that we made a mistake, because again, SGA has not led his team to the playoffs not 1 year. I'm kind of hearing the same little things that I heard about Ja Morant a couple of seasons ago, that he was this, that, and the other. He was a top 10 player. He was, playing out like we ain't heard nothing about that. And it's not even just the fact that he got in trouble. I never was a Ja Morant guy. I think Ja Morant relies too much on his athleticism, and not enough on his skill set. I think he can be game plan for. They got beat against the Oakland. They got really. If you watch the last couple postseasons with the Memphis Grizzlies, he ain't really been all that. And I'm gonna bring this up in another video. Ja Morant ain't really been all that impressive in the postseason. His first postseason was against the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2022. That guy was not even. He wasn't even the best player in that series. It was Desmond Bane. When you had to deal with Minnesota's length and the athleticism, they were not. He wasn't even the best player on his team. But this was the same year people said Ja Morant was going to be a top 10 player. Well, I saw very quickly his game didn't his game from the season did not transfer to the playoffs very well. He's an improved 3-point shooter now. He's improved his teardrop, but he can be game plan for it. The second round against the Warriors, they get beat. And was it 5 games? He goes down hurt, I think, in game 3. Now against that team, when you have less defense like Golden State at the time, you're getting guarded by Steph Curry, who's a better player. I mean, he had a better first 3 games, but Ja Morant ain't really proved anything in the playoffs. He got shut down last year against the Lakers in games what, 4 and 6. He couldn't hit a jump shot, and the Memphis Grizzlies got exposed in 6 games. So again, like he's another one but that's the same echoes I'm hearing about SGA now. Like he's the and he's this that and the other. I'm like, we gotta wait until how they look in the playoffs, man. It's easy for somebody to get into the hype early. It's like a shiny new toy. It's easy for us to get hyped up in the hype early when we ain't seen them in the postseason. We've seen PG in the postseason already. We've already seen Paul George in the postseason recently, as much as 2 seasons ago. And this is what he did in the postseason when it actually was all the marbles on the table. I believe he was 29 years old, 30 years old. He was first in minutes, first in points, second in field goals made, second in free throws made, second in 3 pointers made, third in rebounds, fifth in assist. Like I told y'all, he was top three in the playoffs just a couple of seasons ago. He's been dealt with a sickness the next season where he came back and played, but he got sick with COVID. Y'all remember that COVID game against the Pelicans? He got sick. He had COVID, and then last year he hyperextended his knee. But the full postseason we had Paul George. I mean, he took us to the conference finals. I mean, I'm sorry, SGA has not done that, and we can't just say, well, it's because the team. I mean, shit, he's had other vets. He had Reggie Jackson. He had Chris Paul. He had other players on his team. When PG had the vets in Indiana, he took them to the conference finals and took LeBron Miami Heat to 7 games, man. Like I said, the 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 constant. Like I said, I've already been at peace with. I'm through questioning Paul George. I'm through questioning Paul George. I get annoyed by people when they have questions about him, but when it comes to players who haven't done anything in the biggest moments or the bright lights, they haven't been able to prove a word, and the glass is half full with them. There's going to be games like last night where SGA has an inefficient shooting night, goes 11 for 26, 11-25 from the field in the postseason, and then people are going to, lay off of him. It's going to be another guy they're going to go to. To be honest with you, the game was won by Chet Holmgren last night. It wasn't even won by SGA. SGA was struggling when the game was really, really imbalanced. Just like I told y'all about Luka, is going to get exposed. He's not going to win because he doesn't play winning basketball like he did the other night against us. It's going to be the same thing. I'm not going to say with SGA, but people will quickly turn on a person by one bad performance or one bad situation. I think that's what's happened with Paul George. He's not the same athlete he was in Indiana, but I remember how people used to talk about this dude as if he was the next guy in line. But because he had a couple of bad moments in the postseason, oh, now I mean, I don't trust PG's mental and all this, bro. Like, y'all at some point have to start holding these players all accountable the same way. Because I guarantee if you actually hold these players with the same regard, then you wouldn't be saying some of the stuff that people say. But no, we did not make a mistake trading away SGA for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Hell no. Who in the hell would keep a guy like SGA at the time who has not even led a team to a playoffs? He hasn't led a team. Now this year he's going to lead OKC, but this is his 6th season. You better lead your team to a playoff run at this point. I said there's a reason why SGA just really been talked about over the last couple of seasons, and it's because he hasn't been able to get his team to the postseason. That's the main reason. A lot. I think that needs to be highlighted. Now we'll see how he performs in the postseason because the West is going to be very, very tough. And if he's a top 5 or top 10 player, he should be able to get his team past the first round. Don't tell me you're a top 5 player and you can't get your team past I don't care the team around you. You have a good enough team to get you as a second, third seed. So you should be have the ability to get your team past the first round. If that's what we're doing, if we're saying that SGA is a top 5, top 10 player in the NBA, he should be able to get OKC past the first round. I don't care who it's against. You should be able to do that. So I just hope that people understand like what you signed him up for. If you're telling us that he's a top 5, top 10 player, top 5 players, top 5, top 10 players don't get put out in the first round. The Giannis's, the Jimmy Butlers, the Kawhi Leonards, um, the Nikola Jokic's, the Joel Embiid's, um, you know what I'm saying? Jason Tapes, like those dudes don't get put out in the first round. Now, they've had instances like last year, if you face another top 10 player, you might get put out like Giannis and Jimmy Butler. But for the most part, they've already proven they've gotten their team to the finals. They've gotten their team to deep runs. They've already done this shit. So if you're telling me SGA, who's 25, going on 26 next year, is a top 5 player, that means he should not get put out the first round. If he's a top 10 player, he should not get put out in the first round unless it's against another top 10 player. That's the only way I can see. Other than that, like that we have to hold people accountable for the same um, instance. I would love to see SGA against Ja Morant. That's the matchup I would love to see. I think personally SGA is a better player than Ja Morant, but that would be a perfect ideal matchup to see who's over who. Two guys over the last couple of years who's been, pretty much the hype people. I would love to see that. But anyway, yeah, that's all I really have to say about that, man. Just pump the brakes. Let's see what happens this year. And shout out to Ant Man, Anthony Edwards as well. From Minnesota. I think I've left him out as well. If they face Minnesota, that's another test. That would be another test for SGA too. Because I think Ant Man's better than SGA, but I think SGA is better than John Morant. But those would be guys I would love to see against each other in the postseason. But we'll be back on actually Sunday or it's tomorrow for LA Clipper Talk. But until next time, respectfully say, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull up, peace. Out of here like swimwear.